our post-parade interview with More and Pop Pop. Okay, do you want to ask the first question too?
How did you meet?
I had come to Bethel in the fall of 1969, and my roommate, Dave Sofelt, was from Edina. And about 8 weeks into the fall, he went home every weekend to sing at Youth for Christ in the singing group he was part of.
That sounds of life.
And he got tired of seeing me sit in my dorm room every weekend by myself, not go out on any dates. So he said,
Because Dad had never dated before.
He was very shy.
so David said, I will ask my girlfriend to ask one of her friends in the singing group if she wants to go out with Dave's roommate for ice cream after Sounds of Life. So another week or two later, I went with Dave to the Youth for Christ meeting at First Baptist in Minneapolis. And we kind of hung around and they did their warm-up practice. And then Dave came up into the balcony where I was waiting. And he pointed out two girls down at the front and said, which one do you want to go out with? So here's...
And I won!
So Mom had long blonde hair. She was very thin, like Abby. And she was kind of just flitting around at the front from person to person, big smile. And so Dave went to Nancy, his girlfriend, and Nancy asked Joan, do you want to go out with Dave's roommate for ice cream afterwards? So that was the plan.
Sight unseen.
So do you have anything to add to that part?
I remember thinking, well, I've got to figure out how to get my girlfriend home because we had ridden together. And I didn't want to leave her without a way to get back home again, back to South Minneapolis.
And did you know who Dad was at all? Or it was basically a blind date?
Completely blind for both of us. And so
I don't think I knew that.
after Sounds
But
of Life,
then I looked at him and I said, okay.
Aww.
so Dave had a light blue two-door Mustang car. And so afterwards, we went out to Bridgman's, which is an ice cream place, and had ice cream, and we had a good time. And then he took Nancy home first because Nancy was a little further away and Joan's house was on the way back home. So he gets out and Joan and I are sitting in the back seat of this really low Mustang, and Dave is up there kissing like crazy with his girlfriend while Joan and I are sitting there just totally embarrassed.
So
What do we do? So awkward, so awkward. And then Dave finally came back and went to Joni's house on the way back to Bethel. And so...
Because remember that Mormor was in high school.
Right.
I was only 16.
So we brought her back to her house and I walked her up to the door and said, thank you, I had a very nice time. No handshake, no hug, no kiss, nothing. And I went back to Bethel and Dave asked how it went and did I like Joan? I said, yeah, we had a good time. She's great. And then...
But then I heard nothing.
Heard nothing. I don't know if you've given me your phone number.
A couple of months, I mean. I don't think we did anything then. For a couple of months, right?
Not till after Christmas?
No. It was like, we met like in September.
Early October, I think.
Oh. Well, anyway, it was a long time until you asked me out on a real date. Well, then we only did double dates.
Yeah.
After Youth for Christ for a couple times. I would go with Dave and we'd go out for ice cream afterwards.
Usually to Bridgman's.
And then finally, in the winter, my brother said I could borrow his car because I didn't have a car. And I called Joan up and asked her if she'd like to go out to see the Boston Bruins play the Minnesota North Stars at Net Center.
I have to insert something.
Good.
Because when he called me, You have to understand, he had one phone on his floor
Right.
to
For
use.
30 people.
I had one phone on my floor to use for 30 people. So
You were at your house. This is when you're
Was
still
it?
in
This
high
is
school.
when you're at your house.
You're still in high school.
Oh, I was in high school, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I picked her up in my brother's car. The ice rink was maybe 10
I have
minutes.
to finish my story.
Okay.
So when I got a call whenever I was in college,
Right.
when I was living there,
Right.
I mean, the entire floor was standing around.
Would know.
When you're
Joe called.
Okay. But this is 2 years later.
Yeah.
So we go to the Boston Bruins and we're sitting in halfway decent seats. And I'm cheering like crazy
He's
for the
like
Bruins.
a crazy person.
And Joan's looking at me like, this guy has been so quiet and reserved, and he's acting like a wild man. And the Bruins won 8-2,
yeah,
and
just creamed.
there are
So-
two men behind us that I all of a sudden hear, you see that guy next to the blonde? We're going to get him after the game.
What? What?
Yeah, because I was obnoxious. And
This is the quiet guy that hardly said 2 words.
so I think they did they pour beer on me or popcorn?
I don't know.
They
Oh
poured
my
something on me.
gosh.
It wasn't me. That's
No,
all I
so-
cared about.
So we're going out, and I said, Joan, would you like to go out for ice cream? Expecting her to
course.
say yes. But what did you say instead?
I don't know.
Because Jay and Judy were watching you.
Oh, I had to get home by 11 o'clock.
Oh, you had a
Because
curfew.
my brother was babysitting.
Yeah, you had a curfew.
So, no, not her curfew was midnight normally, but not with her brother. It was 11.
No, it was 11
so
o'clock
she said,
for Jay.
Jay.
do you want to come back to my house? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I mean, we haven't even held hands yet. And
And that was not to come for a while.
and then she said, my mom and dad are away on a trip, so my brother and his wife are staying at the house. And they only lived 3 miles from Joni's parents, just across the highway. And so we went back and we went into this little tiny TV room where there's a little love seat. We sit down. After 5 minutes, her brother Jay comes out with this huge bowl of popcorn and puts it down in between us.
Like, just set us.
So you can't sit by each
No.
other
That's
at all.
right, which we probably wouldn't have done anyways.
Okay.
And